finally to the revision. I did make a list of those that came to that meeting, but I have not gotten to the revisions of it. I just gotten all of the papers that were turned in for the narrative. And if you still haven't turned in the narrative, I believe all of you, I know all of you have. I remember reading your papers, but there are still some students that did not turn it in. But I'm just looking at your hands. I know all of your papers. You all turned in your work. So I'll be working on getting all those other assignments back to you. And I know on Thursday I'm going to work a lot on that as well. But I wanted to just kind of go over week 7. I know we really didn't have time for week 6 too much. Do y'all have any specific questions about the week 6? Or I know one student said they had difficulty finding a discussion, and I went in the module and found it. Do y'all have any issues with the module for week 6 or anything like that?
I could not do the discussion either.
Me too. Yeah, the discussion didn't work.
For in the module for week 6?
Yes.
Was it in the one in the lesson, or which one was it? Well, this one. Yeah, that was the wrong one. Okay, because the one in the actual this one I clicked on, so I do see that one is incorrect. Okay, I see what you're talking about. The one in the actual module that was the lesson was correct. Because I was trying to figure out, because I went to the wrong thing to look at it. So under here, if you click on lesson, because there's the one on social rhetoric. Oh, sorry, visual rhetoric, excuse me. Discussion on social activism and visual rhetoric. That was the one due. So I did put it right there. So I will fix that. Thank you for letting me know that. Is there anything else that you had any issues with week 6?
So when I click on the discussion under the modules, it just says that the page can't be found. It won't let me reach the discussion.
Is it
That was
doing
the
that
same for me as well?
Because the link's there, but every time I click on it, it just doesn't work.
Or are you able to find it though by going to the lesson?
Yeah, so that's where what you just showed is how I was trying to access it, but the link it says page not found. It says like oops something or other.
Okay. I'm not really sure why it's doing that. Trying to find this discussion here though. It's the one on social activism. I may just have to leave it and see if I can find it. But that link does work though, correct? This one, the link in this, because I clicked on the link in this. So if you can access it through the links here, so you can access it here, right?
No, that's the link that won't work.
This one won't work?
It won't.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's see. Wonder if this one was somehow removed when I was, because I navigating 3 different classes of this, if it got removed, or which one, I don't know which one I just click on here. See if it's like that for this one also. I probably did this on all of them. I'm not sure where that, because I know one of them should have had it on here. Yeah, that was an old one. Okay, and this. So I know I made that assignment. I don't know what happened to it, but it was discussion on rhetoric and media platforms. That was an old one. Due in August. I know I made that assignment. I don't know what happened to it. November 8th. Well, I guess for now, just don't worry about it. It's really been a lot of assignments anyhow, so, I will just, I guess I'm gonna go and just take it off of there for now, and 'cause I guess no one was able to find it. No one was able to find it anywhere. I don't see it. Yeah, so some were answering the popular culture one already. Wait, that's a mini project. Okay. I would just say, as I know I made that and I don't know what happened to it. Um, and I guess we'll just take that one off for now because I honestly don't know what, I mean, I don't know what happened to it, but it was an assignment that was made. Because we're already past the due date for it, just don't worry about it. It's for week 6. I don't know how I found that link though to even post that if it wasn't somewhere. It's not in the discussions. I want to go under assignments even maybe and see and find assignments and see if I can find it there because I had to pull that link from somewhere. Did you look under assignments as well for it?
Yes, and in place of where it should be, it was just the old one, the one that was due August 18th. That was the only, I searched high and low for it and eventually gave up.
That's a discussion that needed to been moved. Social media and political discourse, that's due in October. I'm not sure where I found the link though, or what happened since I've been you have 3 of these courses, if it got somehow erased or something. That for now, I'm just gonna go ahead and try to take those off of the out of the module too, because I don't know how that was, I don't know how I found the link at this point, or if it got crossed over and just messed up. Just don't worry about it, because it's past the due date for it. And there's already enough assignments to work on anyhow, so, really, I'll just, yeah, we'll just take it off of here for now. Still don't know how. Okay. Is there any other issues that you're having with it, or is everything else okay?
That was the only issue that I ran into.
Okay. And like I said, I know I made that assignment. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if I don't think I would have put it in a one of these sandboxes or something, but I I honestly don't know what happened to that. It's been kind of difficult navigating this sometimes because of the fact that this is different, a little bit different from Blackboard, and don't think that's gonna be in this, but I can look to see if I somehow. I don't think I put any of them in here. It's other things. So for now, just don't worry about, I don't even know if this is gonna come up or not. I don't know what this is timed out or. Well, my pages are, it's not spinning around. Yeah, just don't worry about if you can't find an assignment. If for some reason something like that happens, just like I said, I don't know what happened because I know I made that assignment. Now I'm not even able to get the modules up, so I don't know if there's something wrong with my internet. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, well, that was coming. So view count and the calendar that didn't have it on there either. I suppose that it did not have it on there because if it wasn't, so the calendar. I think these are all things. It could have just possibly been accidentally deleted. It was moved, and I don't know, but just don't worry about that discussion at this point. The calendar, I'm just gonna check that too to make sure it did not pop up on there either. Okay. What date was it due? The 20th?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so here it is. That is it. Discussion on social activism. Well, I can do, because like I said, I know I made that assignment. I guess I can just take this and then, well, maybe it'll let me click edit. So it says Friday. Can you see it in your, well, this is only one class's thing. That's weird though, that it is on here. Let me see. I know I copied it. I can go back and put that in here. It's really strange. There it is, and there's the assignment. Social activism and visual rhetoric. It pops up. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Can you see it in yours? I know this is 12454. Let me make sure what the date is on it. Well, I guess I'll have to just go back and add it to the module later because I spent plenty of time talking about just where it's at, so, yeah, it says September 20th. Can you see it on yours now?
I'm checking now.
In the discussions, because I haven't been able to I haven't put it back in the module yet. But if you go under the discussions. Now this one doesn't look like it's fixed.
Yeah, I'm still not seeing it pop up.
Are you in the 1, 2, 4, 5, 5 or 5, 6?
I'm in 1, 2, 4, 5, 5.
Okay, yeah, so that's one I don't see either. So should be able to copy and paste it. And the social activism and if you at this point, like I said, that if you are able to do the assignment, that's great. If not, it's okay, because I know that there are a lot of other things to do. But the discussions are meant to help you kind of with your reading and get you to think outside the box. So I posted that now. You should be able to see that in the 1, 2, 4, 5, 5, and I'll probably have to fix the 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. I don't know how that happened, but I know it's been kind of difficult for y'all to navigate sometimes, even though there are some great benefits of Canvas that we didn't have on Blackboard. Sometimes it's easier to see things on Canvas. Blackboard, the font was pretty small, and I feel like at least I usually can kind of see like when I'm grading or writing in it or something. It seems like it is a little bit easier to use than Blackboard. Do you see it in the 1, 2, 4, 5, 5 and under discussions?
Yes.
It's there
It
now,
needs to be
yes.
updated. Yeah.
It's weird that it was in the calendar, but not on. No. And the point of the visual rhetoric too is just it kind of goes with the fact that rhetoric can be, and it doesn't have to be what you think of traditional rhetoric, and it translates into what modern rhetoric is today, and that will like tie into the big debate at the end of the semester, whether you based on your research on just how rhetoric is seen today and the types of rhetoric, if you think that rhetoric is actually enhanced, or some scholars say that they see a decline, but it is a myth though, that's what a lot of scholars do say. Oh, well, rhetoric is declining, but most professors and scholars will say that it's actually a myth, that because language isn't actually declining. But there's a lot of articles saying, rhetoric is declining, but the visual rhetoric is showing kind of an advancement in that. And that video, that's in the model, it goes with this, and I'll try to put this back in, but I'm sorry for wasting that much time on just trying to find that. Because when I emailed or the student emailed me, and I don't think he's on this meeting, but, I couldn't figure out, well, I guess I didn't click on the link when I saw it, or somehow I didn't realize it really was not working. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with it, so we'll go ahead and just, because I know that, I know with week 6, it was an introduction to genres, and I'm pretty sure I had a PowerPoint for this week as well that kind of just tied in. I'll have to fix some of that here in terms of, I'll have to put it back in there. I'll probably just put that in the message to you in the announcement that discussion is there if you want to answer it. Actually, for those who I actually do not have a PowerPoint that went with, I think really that much with the lecture for week 6. So week 7 probably is one where I put the PowerPoints on genre and genre analysis. So genres are considered to be categories. And there are different types of genres. You can have genres of writing, you can have genres of literature and media and poetry. Anything you can categorize, you can have genres of. And basically, by looking at different genres of writing and different genres of literature and text, it just helps you it brings awareness to diversity in terms of looking at different ways to approach good art. And so for this PowerPoint here, that it's on constructing the genre analysis on popular culture and introduction to the debate on the theory of argument and definition of rhetoric. And so I did post a video on the genre analysis. So for this genre analysis, what you'll do for the genre analysis is you can work with the story that you made up based on a text or media source, and basically you're just writing a paper, and there's a specific format that I like you to write it in, like paragraph by paragraph. There's also a website that helps explain paragraph by paragraph what you should put in your paper, but it'll just be explaining whether the text that you chose, whether you would think it's more of a classic work or more modern work, whether it fits the definition of popular culture. And so with the popular culture studies, I did show some articles that explain that popular culture, isn't entirely irrelevant in academia, though a lot of scholars, say, well, this is not serious to study. Why include popular culture? I mean, that's the opposite of serious devotion to scholarship. But however, that one of the articles, I believe the one maybe you have for this week, I'll have to go back and look at it, but it explains that, that in even any sort of college classroom, that a lot of times you still can't have a good conversation about literature or the classics even without at least touching on some popular culture topics in terms of just, because it is relevant, when you, even in literature, when you study literature, I know I like to connect ancient or classic literature to our world today to make it relevant, because those ideas are still relevant and that would connect into popular culture. So, for instance, even the Epic of Gilgamesh, you could still even find traces of the Epic of Gilgamesh in popular culture today. Whether you could think like, well, kids' toys and things like that, but also, films and books and things like that. You could still see how it influences those things. And that's what makes the popular culture and academia study so interesting, is that you can see how it's relevant. I always find it fascinating to make connections even with old films to ancient plays and things like that, because whoever wrote those plays, or sorry, whoever wrote the film that produced it and directed it and all that, they still had to, most of them had to know and read a lot of literature to be able to write that. And so some of their ideas were inspired more than likely by works from a very long time ago. And so it makes it a whole lot more interesting when you can see how there's an interconnection between the two. So even like with Pride and Prejudice, if you wrote about that for your narrative, that you could still write a paper on it. There will be a paragraph just on explaining connections of that work to popular culture. So you could still see, I gave the example of Pride and Prejudice and zombies, or even the fact that they did a Hollywood film event in 2005 that still made it relevant because it was a pretty popular film. They did a pretty good job of trying to take on the tone and characterization and there's still going to be, if you read the book, there still be differences between the way that it was presented. I know, for example, even if you ever read Gone with the Wind and then watched the film, well, I remember when I read that book and watched the film, and I'd watched the film so many times, I felt like when I read the book, it's like, wow, that the book was just, to me, it was a lot different though, and because of the way that there's just some things about it, that there's some little nitpicky differences in the book, though the plot overall is still the same. That and even when they made a sequel of Gone with the Wind, I didn't actually read the whole sequel to Gone with the Wind, but I did read the whole book of Gone with the Wind. But just reading the first few pages of it, I feel like they didn't really capture I guess, the same character style of the original author, or however they wrote her. I still felt like there was some differences. I can't even remember exactly all the differences I felt between the film and the book. But anything like that, even if it is a remake of something, or um, a book that is turned into a film, there's going to be things that you see that are great that you like about it, and some things that you think, well, this is pretty different, or like A Walk to Remember. Now, the book to that, it really, to me, I thought the book, if you've ever read that, it was entirely different than the film because they made it more modern. So they tried to fit A Walk to Remember in modern culture. They still took little pieces of it, like the girl's sweater and the plot line, but the parties and things like that, and that was not the same. They just added things to it, but they were trying to appeal to a younger audience. And so when you look at, maybe what they're looking for, the producer, the director, like with Gone with the Wind, that, I think I probably felt like the Scarlet in the book was, though she did have a similar uh, domineering personality, that I think that they tried to really hone in on that even more in the movie, and kind of stereotype the that actress to do that in a way. um and the one in the book was similar, but it is like they try to play on some of those character traits and try to appeal to that audience. So, like I said, it's just really interesting when you look at genres of film and books and see how that there's sometimes still an interconnect there. And like I said, looking at the rhetorical situation, looking at the audience, like who that author wrote that book for at that time, but then looking at what another um, individual do with that work and try to use to attract a different audience is just really interesting. And so that's pretty much what we will be focusing in on. And the definition of popular culture is actually kind of vague. You would just really consider it to be, anything that basically can be seen as relevant in our world today, that we connect to class values. And so this particular text, this is from the reading for this week. What is popular culture? In simple words, popular culture can be understood as a set of cultural products, practices, beliefs, and objects dominating society. So like different time periods hold different values more than others, and they are going to target different audiences. And so basically, though, like I said, you could still see like a work from the 1800s, how that they could still take some of those mainstream ideas and still try to modify it and reach a different audience with it, with a different set of values even. Less in like what came to mind was the Walk to Remember, the difference between the book and the film. And that was from the early 2000s too. So I know I'm pulling out the ideas from back when I was a teenager, but that those are two that stood out to me that I thought were interesting comparing at that time. And then also the Pride and Prejudice. There are there are differences between the film and the book. And one I liked from Pride and Prejudice was not the Hollywood one, it was the BBC version. And even if you could even take one like that, but they stuck to the book really closely, I believe. The BBC, that they took like line by line, pretty much they didn't change it. And so, I mean, it was great, but then, the Hollywood one, they did obviously adapt the lines, and obviously it wasn't quite as long as the BBC version. Like I said, it's just interesting to see. Um, so for this assignment, the purpose of the visual or written genre was designed to promote certain ideals, promoting um, a dominating society that are not tied to specifically upper class values. Ask yourself, does the source's message connect to a message that popular culture sends? So whatever text you choose, whether it's a book or a film, just you would ask yourself, so you can choose from a visual or written genre to explain whether it fits into popular culture. And like I said, that you can pick a more obvious example like a TV series or a film, or you could even take a classic work and still explain. You could qualify and say, well, though this was written for a particular audience, that we can still see it in our world today, in this way, and you would do the research on that to explain that as well. And the conventions of the visual or written genre may veer from traditional views of the genre to perpetuate the dominating ideals of during the era which it was written or produced to align with the popular culture genre. For instance, if a classic novel suddenly included a mini narrative from subordinate society, this would be a prime example. It does not have to veer from the traditional view of the genre to be considered popular culture, however. And then another question that you could ask yourself for the thesis, does the work have connections to other forms of media? If so, this would be a great qualifier for the popular culture genre. So those are all questions. And just some examples here that I thought were interesting from popular culture. So this is how absurdism, which is a philosophy that's modernist, and how it tied into this particular TV series. And so this example is from Red Dwarf. Um, the TV series Red Dwarf is based on a pretty absurdist existential premise. The main character is the last human alive in the universe. A radiation disaster killed everyone in the solar system with the single exception of David Lister, who happened to be in the stasis chamber of a mining ship, which protected him from the disaster. Um, Basically, that this is, like I said, it's an example of absurdism in a modern context. So you could even focus on a particular type of philosophy and explain how that ideal connects to popular culture from that TV series or work. Yasmin, did you have a question?
Yes, I'm so sorry. I'm just a bit confused. So I saw that you were talking about popular culture, and then I'm looking at module for week 6. So wait, are we doing that module or not? Like, I don't know. I just clicked that it's not the same thing, and the calendar is talking about popular culture that's due this weekend, but the module, it says that modality and rhetoric details that was due, like, wait, the mini project and whatever. I didn't do those, but I didn't see on the calendar.
Okay, so week 6 was actually last week. And like I said, at the beginning of this, I just now got the original papers back, so I still haven't gotten the revisions back, but week 6 was actually last week. So the major revision, so this was all from last week, and so these assignments were all last week. And I guess I did that quiz was also last week. Um, and let's see. So we're on week 7. So week 7, there is the discussion on popular culture and academia, an outline for the next paper, and then a quiz on genres of writing and media structuring.
Oh, okay, because I don't see those assignments on my calendar, so I didn't even know that they were there.
Okay, well, can everyone else access those in the module, the week 7 assignments? or the week 6. There's one assignment from week 6 that students did struggle to find, and I actually found, I don't know what happened with it, but I was able to put it back into the discussions. I just haven't put it back into the modules yet. But you should be able to just go to when you go to the module for week 7 or week 6, can you click on the assignments or go to the lesson and click on, let's see, with week 6 or week 7, can you go to the module and click on the assignments in module or just in the lesson? If you click on the lesson for week 7, can you click on the assignments there?
All right, so like don't refer to the calendar, right?
If it's not working, then I would just go to the lesson or the module. I do post what we're doing. So I post the lesson and the links every week on Sundays. And I realized that one of those links was it was messed up for the week 6. And like I said, I don't know what happened with that, but I found it and I reposted. It was a discussion for weeks on visual rhetoric and social activism. But for week 7, so I always post this every Sunday. So it tells you like all the readings, just to click on that in the PowerPoint. And then I say when the Teams meeting is, and then these are the assignments that are due. And so you should be able to click on those, and that's what you're doing for this week. So that will always tell you too, and then it'll always be in the lesson for that week.
Okay, thank you. So can I just do those assignments? Will I get like points
Yes,
taken off for them?
that is fine. Like I said, I'm just trying to catch up myself because I did finally get all the papers back from the narrative and have not gotten to the revisions yet. So that I'm not going to count off. If the main assignments really are the big papers, so that's why I'm going over the genre analysis, because it's just those 4 major papers that are the most important for the class. All the assignments are important, but just make sure you are keeping up with the 4 big papers.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome. Did anyone else have a question? Okay, so there's a discussion, a quiz, and then this is the outline for that. These are examples of what you could do your genre analysis on. So you could do novels or film or TV. And like I was saying before, that example of absurdism, like you could pick a philosophy that ties into a film or TV series, and then you can explain how that ties into popular culture and it's shown. One I also thought was interesting was I think it was Breaking Bad. So I did some research on this and found that there's a lot of popular culture references in it as well. I think Big Bang Theory is another one that has a lot of popular culture references. Of course, Star Wars was it still is part of popular culture. Harry Potter, and then books. These are just books I picked that they have. A lot of them have been made into movies or things like that. One that was just a random. The Woman in Me is actually by Britney Spears. Like you could even pick, I guess, Anna Harris Hilton or the movie stars that have written books. I think Leah Remini wrote a book. There's like a lot of different even celebrity books that you could pick, and you would still want to, follow the conventions of the essay to explain how it ties in. But it'll be a little bit more challenging if you choose a really classical work, but it would also be interesting to make those connections. It'll be a little bit easier for you if you choose something that already would be considered mainstream. But when you are looking at that work, just try to think of either philosophies or ideals that connect to that time and place. And then, how it's still relevant, or why it would still be in the genre of popular culture, today. And I tried to break it down to is make a list of what criteria define the popular culture genre, and then choose a visual or written genre. So like, you can use a book or TV or film, and then find specific examples of works to evaluate, and then make a list of what criteria should be used to state the visual or genre does or does not fit the genre. So you could argue that a literary work from, many years ago, that it really just doesn't fit popular culture because the ideals at that time, there are a few works that you could say, well, this just really, it would have just been considered a classic to this day, and it would not have been considered part of popular culture because it would have been, um, just really taken very seriously. For example, like if you picked up a poem by Petrarch from the 1300s, though you could maybe do some research and find how people have still even maybe you could even maybe find traces of it. And so I know even Dante's Inferno you could find in video games and things like that. So it is really interesting parallels. But let's just say that you did the research and you said, well, Petrarch was a serious scholar and really cannot see the connection of this work. It's just a classic. So you would just argue that this does not meet the popular culture genre, and then give specific criteria as to why and explain. Or you say this does meet the criteria, or you could say, though this conventionally would not be seen in the popular culture genre, it can be seen in this way. So you could qualify, say yes or no to that. And then this will just be a 5-paragraph essay, again, around 700 words. I think my computer may be frozen up here. Can y'all still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that my computer is not letting me scroll down, so it's kind of, I have it plugged up because I was afraid the battery was gonna go out, on it, because I was grading papers and things. And so it's not letting me scroll down right this second to look at this. I might try to just click here to see if it'll pull it back up, or actually it's not letting me do anything. See if I can't click this and then see if it'll let me go back. May need to click on the internet. Not sure what's going on with it, spinning around. Probably have too many windows open. Hopefully it'll come back up. But basically that, like in that outline, I just map out like each paragraph. There's like a specific, maybe I can actually find it in the PowerPoint. I should be able to find that here. I can find if it's in here. Yeah, no, yeah, I just clicked on it. So I'm just gonna go back here for a minute and see if okay, so this also, I do also bring up argumentation and rhetoric, cultural relativism, and things like that as well. And how to read like a scholar. You always want to you read the abstract of a work. A literary review or literature review is you're actually just explaining the data in an article, and that's also important to know, because especially if you do scientific research in school, you may just do a literature review on articles based on scientific data. Trying to see if I put anything. I think this is all. And this also is a breakdown of, is your source scholarly? So when you're writing, this actually pertains more to when we get to the research paper. When we get to the research paper, that a source has to be peer reviewed. It has to be either a book or a peer review journal or a .org, a .edu, or a .gov website. The same for any paper, like you would not want to bring in Spark Notes or lit charts or anything like that, because according to MLA, that though they are study tools, you don't want to bring them into any paper. And then I did give examples from Little Miss Sunshine of existentialism and popular culture. So you could even explain how it fits the definition of popular culture based on a philosophy or a value. And I know I explained that as well. And there's also a good video that I posted on the genre analysis here as well. Let's see if okay, so it finally came up with this. Let me see if it'll let me go back to the assignment. That's week 8. So this is, let me go back to the outline again and we'll look at the pair because there is like a set structure for that. So you don't have to worry about like, how do you format the paper because I did map out that. So you don't have to worry about what I have to put in each paragraph. It's just up to you whether you want to argue that a work does meet the criteria for being in the popular culture or doesn't or qualify. And that's up to you for the thesis stance in it. And let's see. Okay, so in the first body paragraph, you will identify the purpose of the text in connection to the definition of popular culture. So basically, you're just going to be, explaining how the text fits into the definition after you've defined the definition in the introduction. So you'll explain how it fits into the definition or whether it doesn't, and just present an overview of the purpose of why you are evaluating and what criteria the criteria you're using to explain how it fits into that genre or how it doesn't. And when you are bringing in a media source, you can cite the author's last name or director or producer if needed as well. And then the second body paragraph that you'll be focusing on genre conventions and connection to the conventions of the popular culture, popular culture genre. I realize there is a typo there as well. I'm going to see if I can fix that. So then at this point, you'd be looking at the genre of the work that you chose, like if it's a poem or a film or a book, and you could hone in like on a more specific category because with genres you have poetry as a genre and then you have different types of poetry. So you have sonnets and you have limericks, and those are all genres as well. So there are subgenres and then there are central genres. So in this, you would be focusing on the genre conventions in connection to the conventions of the popular culture genre. And so basically make a claim, is the text following the usual characteristics of the genre, or how is this helping or impeding the text to achieve its purpose? So you would just basically answer that question there to explain how that fits its purpose. And then you explain the source, whether the source fits the genre of the popular culture based on the example above. And then in the third paragraph, that's when you make connections of the written or visual genre to popular culture. So this is when you would just bring in your references to, like, if you picked an ancient work and you say, well, you can still see this in our world today and other films or other types of media and whatnot, just making those connections. Or if it already is directly mainstream popular culture reference, you can just say, well, it is mainstream and it's also impacted other works as well. And you could draw on other examples of more obvious examples of the popular culture genre and how that's impacted other genres. But basically, the first body paragraph is identifying the purpose of the text in connection to the definition of popular culture. So how does it tie in, or if it doesn't tie in at all, you just explain that. More than likely, you'll find some connection though, So you would just explain how it ties into the definition of popular culture in general. So in general, you're just going to in general explain the definition of popular culture and criteria and how the purpose of the text, how does that fit into it? You could talk about philosophy, values, and other attitudes in the text that tie into popular culture. Today, the second body paragraph, the genre conventions and connection to the conventions of the popular culture genre. So once again, at this point, like if you picked a tragedy or a comedy of like a film or you know, other type of subgenre you want it to fit in, you would explain how that genre, whether it does adhere to that particular style, if it actually veers from, let's say it's like well, I guess you could say something was a tragedy, but it still has some elements of comedy in it. So it's really a tragic comedy. You explain how you really can't entirely see this as a tragedy because it has some elements of comedy in it. If there's anything unconventional about it like that, you could explain it. If not, just explain the conventions of the genre, whether it adheres to the traditional view of the genre, or if it does, you still explain how it fits into the conventions of popular culture as well. And that's all you're doing in the second paragraph. And then the third, you're just drawing examples of how that text ties into other media or literary works as well, or anything else in popular culture. And then in the conclusion that you'll just sum up how your illustrations and the body paragraphs proved your stance, and obviously what life lessons or values can you learn from this, and conclude by summing up the main point of the paragraph. And of course, the thesis is you explain whether the chosen example of a written or visual genre meets the definition of the popular culture genre based on specific criteria you have discerned based on the definition of the popular culture genre. Use 3 criteria in a chronological order of importance you'll use to make your point based on the purpose of the text in connection to the popular culture genre, conventions based on how it fits the definition of the popular culture genre, and any connections of the text to other sources. So basically you write the whole paper based on these points here. So you don't have to, like I said, as long as you just map it out like that, and that's all you have to do for this assignment. And now I did put some, if you have examples you want to cite, you can cite the author's last name, director or producer, as well. I know that was a lot to go over. Do y'all have questions about the outline so far?
No.
One question.
Okay.
So for this outline, would you want us to like use like a lot of like transitions? Like basically what I'm saying is like, so the compared to the actual essay and then the outline, can you just explain how much broader would you want the outline to be in comparison to the actual essay?
Yeah, so I know a lot of students that they actually turn in a draft, which that's great that they already did a draft, but for this, all you have to do is use Roman numerals 1 through 5. If you don't want to be as detailed as this, you could just map out, maybe 2 claims and 2 points of evidence, and if you don't even use complete sentences, as long as your ideas are clear, that is okay, but it needs to be at least, I would say 2 claims and 2 points of evidence in each body paragraph, so that when you're getting to the paper, like how you're going to construct it. It'd be great if you could still write in complete sentences, but since it's an outline, as long as I can see you have claims and you are mapping out the main ideas, even if it's not in complete sentences, as long as that there's, you know, um, two claims and 2 points of evidence or examples, whatever you're gonna use to explain your claims that are clearly mapped out. It'd be great if you could have the topic, sentence, and conclusion too, but as long as you have the 2 claims and 2 citations in each paragraph, and then as long as you map out the thesis and then introduction and do that for the body paragraphs, and then at least just kind of map out how you'll review the main points in your paper and the conclusion. That's all you really have to do for it.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Do y'all have any other questions? So this paper, and it's gonna be due in October. And like that, I will be working on no Thursday. I'm gonna try to get as much done and caught up. And I did, like I said, I just got the narratives back to everybody, I think yesterday. So everybody should have received theirs that turned it in. And so week 8, yeah, so the genre analysis will be due on October 6th. So that's probably, I probably put that at the very end of the next week to give you enough time, because that, yeah, so that it'd be October 6th is a Sunday. And that way, you have like enough time to work on it. And then there'll just be one other essay before we do work on the research paper. So like the last few weeks of the class, we're just working on the research project, and that is the main point, is working on that research project. Well, if y'all have any questions, just make sure to let me know, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you have any issues with the modules or anything like what happened, thank you for explaining to me, because I said there's a student that reached out to me and I still didn't, I just didn't quite get what was wrong with it, but at least we found it. And if you do want to do that discussion, that'd be great. I know that really you just need to be working on whatever's due this week. If you have time, do that discussion that I added back for week 6. If not, it's okay, because did find it. But just really just focus on what you need to do for this week. And like I said, if y'all have any questions, or if you need to email me with your thesis or anything you're working on with your projects, if you have any questions about or need advice on, just let me know and I'll be glad to get back to you as soon as possible. And I hope